Welcome back to the show. I'm Anushan Selvaraja. Now we take a look at the tourism industry and how it is faring. So joining me is product head from Frontier Research, Travis Gomez. Welcome back to the show, Travis. Now, just to start off with, how is the industry faring at this point in time? The central bank just released some numbers. Could you just walk us through that?
Yeah, so going into 2020, I think we were also anticipating that the first half would be a challenging period, given that we're coming off what happened with the Easter Sunday attacks, where a lot of the tourists who had been planning their vacation, 10, 12 months ahead, they would have maybe decided to go somewhere else. So we were anyway expecting the first half to be challenging, and looking at the numbers for January, there's about a 7% drop, and this is the high season that we're getting into. So that's how it has been performing so far.
Now, there are a lot of new initiatives being brought in by the new leadership at the Tourism Authority. What is your opinion on these initiatives?
I think they're sort of, more or less they're sort of like trying to continue with the what has been the policies in the past, in terms of trying to give like a very coherent message of Sri Lanka, what they are sort of offering when it comes to tourism. And I think something they have been pushing at some of the tourism conventions also has been this idea of wellness tourism, and sort of hoping that that would sort of attract the more high-end sort of tourists, the ones who are looking for more experiential sort of tourism. So in that sense, I think it's good, because I think you need like some sort of coherent message to give, that to have in people's minds that, okay, this is what Sri Lanka is about.
Now, the coronavirus, Travis, is having an impact across the world, not just in terms of the disease itself, but economically as well. Tourism in particular has been affected by this. Now, China has also stopped sending out tourists from their country. What sort of impact would this have on our sector?
So already we are starting to see the impact. So looking at even the January numbers, so overall it was 7% drop, but if you take the Chinese arrivals, it was about a 15% drop in that month. And what I think the aviation authorities were also saying was that they're expecting, since this outbreak, that on average the drop might be about 40%. So one saving grace we have is that our exposure to Chinese arrivals is a bit less compared to other East Asian countries, which have been much harder hit. So our exposure is about 10%, but still, that has been the fastest growing segment within our tourism. So definitely it's going to have an impact on us. So overall, I feel that it won't be as severe as what some of the East Asian countries are going through. So for example, Thailand, they're reporting they are expecting like a 50% drop in their arrivals, and they're at a much bigger level. Same with Cambodia and Vietnam. So on one side, we might be less exposed, where some of the tourists who are coming from, say, US or Europe, they might prefer to come to like Sri Lanka, to South Asia, relative to East Asia. So there is that thing, but overall it's still a negative for the segment.
Himali Fernando, the current head of the Tourism Authority, said that they have a 5-year plan where they hope to bring in 7 million tourists and over $10 billion in terms of revenue. How feasible is this?
So looking at the historical trend, I think achieving the arrival numbers might be possible, but the earnings has been much more difficult to achieve, because to try to attract some of those high-end tourists. So one thing is that on the infrastructure side, things are improving, and we might be able to better attract some of those MICE tourists, the people who are coming for meetings and like businesses and things like that. So with like the developments now happening with the port city, it's kind of accelerating, and we are getting more of the large conference space, and the sort of the amenities in Colombo are increasing. So that might be a positive thing, but I think getting that earnings target is still going to be quite challenging. And it's also like difficult to figure out what's the correct strategy to do, because so right now they're trying to push this wellness aspect to it, but a lot of the tourists that are coming here might be looking for something different. It still might be like the beach and the sort of like the historical sites. So it's kind of difficult to figure that out, but I think giving that sort of message and always trying to be in the minds of potential tourists, I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you very much for joining us, Travis.
Thank you.
That was product head of Frontier Research, Travis Gomez, on the tourism industry. Thank you for watching Benchmark, and we hope to see you again next time.